I feel really far away from you guys. All right, well, thank you, everyone. My name is Cathy Sun, and I help lead e-commerce at AppLovin. For those of you that are not aware of what our business does, I'm happy to give you a little intro. Essentially, AppLovin is the market leader in performance advertising for the mobile gaming space. And we have focused primarily on ROAS-driven campaigns and maximizing ROAS for our advertisers. And this has led to incredible growth for our business and for the gaming space in the last couple of years. Today, gaming advertisers spend over $10 billion on our platform each year. So about a year ago, actually less than a year ago, we started to take a look at how we could bring some of that magic to the e-commerce space. And what we did was take the cutting-edge machine learning frameworks that we built for the gaming space and started to build a brand new model for e-commerce. And we had no idea if it was going to work. And what we saw within a very short period of time basically surprised us as well. We started to achieve extraordinary results for a wide range of advertisers across e-commerce. And I think some of those advertisers were themselves surprised to be spending upwards of $1 billion on a run rate basis on our platform in Q4. In a new channel that they had never tried before. You can't believe the amount of skepticism I initially faced when trying to pitch advertisers like these to put ads in mobile games. But I think there's a better understanding of the format now, and we'll walk you through that later today as well. I would love to thank AJ and Max as well for taking my call last November. I'm sure they never heard of what AppLovin was before, and I said I needed emergency integration because we just realized how important measurement and triple whale are to this e-commerce community. And I think the moment when advertisers like these guys started to actually see those results reported in triple whale as well, that's where they got the confidence that the numbers were real and it was time to rapidly increase their spend. So thank you guys for taking the time to do that integration at a very quick pace. And I think that's just a part of the ethos of what your company is and has led to just the rapid product development you guys have had in the last couple months as well. So today we are joined by 3 early e-commerce partners in our beta who are going to be sharing what they've learned over the last couple months as they scaled up on the platform. So to kick it off, can you guys please give a brief introduction to yourself and your company?
Yeah, my name is Miranda Akins. I'm the performance marketing manager at Cuddle Clones. Cuddle Clones is custom stuffed animals of your pet. So if you want to replicate your pet, we do that, and they're all handcrafted. And then in Q4, we're really big in the pajama space, so putting your pet's face on pajamas. And AppLovin was a really big driver of that for us in Q4.
Hey everyone, CANO. I'm the head of marketing at True Classic. I want to say we started on AppLovin around October. We were one of the earlier brands, and it came out of a desire to continue to find and diversify away from Meta, but we found a lot of early success continuing to advertise on the platform, and excited to share some of the things we've learned along the way.
Hi everybody, I'm Scott Kramer, VP of Growth at AS Beauty. So we're a beauty and cosmetics holding company. Our target demo is typically women over 40 plus. We focus on a mature audience. And we were, I think, the first or one of the first advertisers on AppLovin in June of 2023. And I think it was an amazing, interesting experience. And I mean, everything from the AppLovin team to Triple Whale team on helping us measure and kind of see the success, I think was monumental in the growth and having a really strong Q4 and beyond with it. So excited to continue to share learnings and kind of people that aren't yet testing the platform. Like, you know, Cathy and the team are here to help get people onboarded. So it's been a huge help for our business as we're trying to diversify ad spend.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, Laura Geller was pretty instrumental to the whole product because, as I mentioned, we were so unknown in the e-commerce space at this time last year. And we ended up onboarding Laura Geller, and it became this obsession with Laura Geller because we had the very beginnings of success as we were building the model, and we started to see those transactions come in for your brand. So all the business side, all the engineers every day, how many units of baked brightening compact did we sell today? That was
Balance
all we
and
cared
brighten.
about.
It's one of our best foundations.
Yes, an excellent product for sure. But we started to see basically that start to surge over Labor Day weekend of last year. We knew, okay, now we have a product. I'd love for you guys to share, maybe a little bit about how you first heard about AppLovin and then your early experiences working with the platform.
Yeah, for us, I got an email from our CEO with a Twitter screenshot the week before Black Friday saying, hey, we need to onboard this platform, and all of us are marketers, so we know that's like, the week from hell, and not a week you want to onboard a new platform, but we said, sure, we're going to give it a try. I think this is a great time to jump in. And the team was just amazing with just that white glove service of helping us get everything onboarded as fast as possible, especially with like taking over, the campaigns and getting everything set up for us. Like we were able to move so fast. And we were able to go from spending $1,000 a day to $80,000 a day in 7 days. Which I've never seen an ad platform do before, and it was huge for us to be able to do that during Black Friday.
Yeah, for me, I got connected to Cathy through a mutual friend, and they were like, hey, we're seeing success, you should try this out. We're like, sure thing, we'll set it up. The lift was relatively easy to set up. It was like a simple ad account, IO, get some of our top ads, some URLs. The team did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of building some of the digital assets. And I remember poking and probing like, well, can we do this? Can we customize it this way? What about this? Can we like make it interactive? And like, I'm like trying to tap into all of my years of experience to like make this thing my own, right? And but it was very simple, and it actually I think helped with being able to set it up so quickly. And yeah, very similar sort of success story, right? We went from spending $1,000 per day, and we got upwards to $150,000 per day within about 45 days after October. So it was just shocking. It was incredible. We were looking at post-purchase surveys. We're like, this is way too good to be true. Something's broken. We're like calling Max and AJ, like, triple whales off. Something's wrong here. This can't be real. But the results were very, very real, and yeah, it was one of the moments that I think I'll never forget in my career in terms of being able to accelerate so quickly on a platform.
Yeah. We got introduced in I think probably June of last year through a tech partner of ours, Disco, and I remember Teddy from their team reached out. He's like, hey, there's this company, AppLovin. They've got a pilot they're trying to do, and I was like, okay, sure. You know what? Another display network. Let's give it a shot. We've tested some display networks and they'd done okay for us. So we're like, you know what? Why not? We'll be part of this pilot. And the onboarding was pretty simple. Working with the team, we needed to set up the pixel. And like Brian was saying, creative is kind of take your best meta ads. I think cut them down to a minute, and then like we'll work with you on end cards. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about end cards, but sure, let's get this live. And then sure enough, like through June and July, it was very much a testing. They were like, we're live. How are you doing? We're like, I don't know. We don't actually see any data. And then it's like, okay, like they're refining the model. So I'm sure Cathy was
I was telling you, at that point, we told you we had a model, but it was just random surveying. We were just like, let's see what can happen here. And then we really started to build off the models over the small signals of success that we were seeing with the Laura Geller products. I think it was special that it had immediate resonance with a large portion of the audience that then allowed us to kind of tap into exactly what are those signals that indicate that someone's ready to purchase.
Yeah, and I mean, we were running essentially, it was like a traffic campaign back then, and I think early August was when we really started like, okay, you guys ready to go live with it? We're like, sure, and we were spending, I think probably $500 a day, and it was doing well, and like for us, Labor Day was a big sale, a big holiday coming up, and we were talking with other advertisers, other people that we knew were part of the cohort. We have a beauty contingent of other brands, and they were telling us how much they were spending. We're like, oh wow, if they're spending that much, we should be able to spend more. And so it was this like fun competition. And sure enough, by like Labor Day, we went from like $500 a day to $10,000 a day. And then Labor Day, Monday was like $50,000. And then from there, it was just kind of like off to the races with, I mean, October was a weird month with the election and everything. So I think finding these other channels that we had in our back pocket. And then for Q4 was just kind of like next level. Without like that, I mean, our Q4 would not have been what it was.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I think for a lot of you who may not be mobile game players, one of the hardest things to understand relative to other social platforms is where are these ads appearing and what do they look like? And I think that's actually a pretty unique part of our special sauce. So we're going to show on the screen an example ad, actually one of Brian's ads. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. Okay. So first, you'll be playing a game like this. This is actually a game that we developed at our company. And then the ad will play. And it's interesting, it's not actually an ad that you swipe away. It covers a whole screen for an ad break that goes between 5 seconds to up to 60 seconds. So it is truly a break in the gameplay where there will be a skip button after a certain period of time, and that will range. So now after that has been clicked, everyone sees this end card, which is actually where 75 to 80% of all the clicks occur. After the end card is completed, you'll actually be sent to, this is our DPA, or dynamic product ad, which then essentially personalizes an experience for each user based on the products that the model thinks they're most likely to purchase. So you can think of this actually as a 3-screen ad break in the middle of a mobile game. So pretty different from what you might see in Instagram Reels or TikTok ad, where you can kind of quickly swipe away if you're not sure that you want to watch the entire ad. So this is just illustrating that once the user clicks on your ad, they will then be brought to your website to make the final purchase. Okay. So now, again, this is kind of the same thing, but I was thinking this would be a great opportunity for Bryan to kind of talk about the creative approach and what he's seen be successful creatively on the platform, as well as maybe walk through, why this ad has been one of the top performers.
Yeah, definitely. I'll preface by saying that the ad that you're seeing here is sort of an evolution of all of creative testing and iterations, and even the dynamic product ad originally wasn't a feature that we were leveraging and tapping into. And I think it speaks to the speed and tenacity at which AppLovin is innovating and is constantly looking to improve the platform and come out with features that increase engagement, increase conversion for e-com brands, and to also create relevance and personalization for consumers as well. So the ad that you're looking at here, it stemmed from us, as Scott mentioned, taking some of our best ads on Meta, on TikTok, and then just kind of running it in the AppLovin platform. We've attempted to make ads that are specific to AppLovin. However, we haven't really found that success. And so we are leveraging the signal, and we're leveraging the engagement and the reporting that we get from other mediums to then take those top ads and test it in here. So that's sort of our first stage of testing, is just like, what is the platform? And we run the same end card, we run the same DPA, all that's static. Once we find we identify a winner, that's when the team, and big shout out to John Taylor, who's our rep on the AppLovin side, they come in and they're like, okay, what are all the different ways that we can design and develop new end cards to then improve this top ad and make it slightly better? And so that's that next stage. That's the interactive, customized end card that you're seeing. It's essentially, it's essentially the sort of the preface before you go either to the website or the dynamic product feed. And it does make a big impact. Shockingly, simple things like call to action, social proof, an offer, even the products that you show does have a meaningful increase in click-through rate, which ultimately leads to better performance. And so we are spending a lot more time here than we did originally. Originally, we were just like, oh, this is like running meta ads, just like creative test and focus just on the first full screen display. But we're starting to see that we're able to squeeze a lot more efficiency when we focus more on the end card. And then the DPA is new. It's an add-on that we're seeing, and we are seeing that is driving more clicks to other products. One of the challenges that we face as a brand with a large catalog is that we want coverage across our entire categories. We don't want to just sell one product and be so reliant on this specific SKU or category. And so the DPA, the product feed, is now giving us more traffic to other categories. Again, it's increasing personalization for the customer. And this is kind of sort of a semblance of where we're at right now. We have about 60 ads live at any given point, single campaign. We're constantly rotating in new stuff, and then we're pausing losers, and we're putting new creatives in there. We tried, different campaigns. Scott and I were actually talking about this yesterday of like, oh, we were doing a creative testing, and like, no, against the recommendations of John, we'd say, no, we want to do it this way. But we did actually find that consolidation does work, right? Like, think of this for all you meta people out there. Think of this as a giant ASC campaign. and let the AppLovin algorithm and delivery kind of decide where to best find performance and validate it using a triple whale. When we first started out, a lot of our ads were very much direct response, right, problem solution. And now we're finding that there's a bit more performance out of this sort of inspirational content. So that's what you're seeing here with the influencer.
And I'll add to that where I think we're in a world where attention keeps dwindling and it's so much harder to get attention, and it's the new currency now of who can you get your attention from for a customer to then go and purchase your products. And I think what's so unique about AppLovin is you have so much time to talk to the customer. You have, you know, the end cards, you have the DPA at the end, you have your video. You are able to tell the customer so much about your product, and they do have to watch that ad to continue on their game, versus if you're scrolling on a feed on Meta or Instagram, you'll see an ad, but if there's not a really, really strong hook, you're probably not gonna even notice the brand, versus you're probably going to remember this brand after watching an ad, and how much you had to interact with it, which I think is really important for e-commerce brands when you're trying so hard just to capture everyone's attention.
Yeah, and I thought you had a funny story too, where at that moment that your CEO said, hey, you need to get on AppLovin the week before Black Friday, we also have a requirement that, you know, we've tested different things, but video is really, this video end card DPA is really, really effective for us. So we did require videos, and you had mentioned that that wasn't an area that you focused on before.
Yeah, for us on AppLovin in Q4, so most of our winning creatives on Meta were all static ads for our brand, and we had lots of video assets, but they never performed great on Meta. So then we were like, what if we just optimized all this video, knowing that the customer is going to watch a lot of it, and we were able to plug so much information for the customer into those first seconds that we knew they would consume, and that just blew up for our brand, and being able to see so much strong performance and growth because the customers are then understanding the brand and being able to see what they want to purchase and the offer, and you can just sell them everything in that ad versus, you know, someone scrolling quickly on a feed.
Yeah, and Scott, did you have any thoughts on the creative approaches that have worked well for you on the platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the point, like it's different than Meta, but a lot of the best practices of the ads we've created on Meta can get you really far. So I think that's where we all were able to find a lot of early success. I think that's what showed us the opportunity of the platform. And I mean, I like to kind of talk about how it's this idea that we're us as like marketers and creators and all that, of like, we're really trying to get someone's attention, and like that attention span on Meta gets shorter and shorter. It's like, it used to be 3 seconds. Now it's like less than a second that you have to like grab someone's attention. And now we're going into a new medium where it's like, wait a second, there's like non-skippable content that's 15 seconds. So we're taking these ads that we're just like hitting people with like hook after hook. And now it's like, wait a second, we can slow this down and get all those right points across to these people, and then you get the end card, and then you get the DPA. So you're getting like 3 ads in one. I think also the really unique thing about it, it's like, I think what makes an ad platform really good is to make ads that don't feel like ads. Like if you think about Meta, it's like ads are in a newsfeed. People are just like, they're like woven in and out of the way people are interacting with Instagram stories or their feed. And similar to mobile gaming, freemium games have been around for a long time, and I think people just became comfortable, like almost pre-TV advertising, like TiVo, where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna get an ad and I'm just gonna sit there and watch it. I can't fast forward, I have to watch it. So again, similarly with AppLovin, it's like these people have been playing freemium games and they're gonna get served an ad, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna engage with the content because there's no getting around it. So I think that in itself also helps lend the storytelling aspect that I think hopefully we're all really good at or can continue to get better at.
Yeah, I think that blended with being able to show it to the right customer, they're going to want to engage with that ad as well.
Yeah, it's super interesting to think about. A lot of the advertisers that have been pretty successful with us, they also have a style of videos that are quite long and informative. So we've seen people complain to us saying, well, can we put a 12-minute video into, because that's what we run on Meta, but sometimes the 1-minute version of that can work very well as well. And another indicator of this kind of openness to watch a longer ad is the fact that some advertisers, I think, Scott, you guys also have a quiz landing page to some extent, right? There's a lot of advertisers on the platform that use these long quizzes to kind of personalize the experience, whether it's cosmetics or hair care or all sorts of products, even insurance companies, they're using these longer quizzes, and it seems like the users are very okay with actually clicking through after watching all of this, getting educated to some extent through the ad format, and then clicking through a fairly long quiz to get to be able to purchase something that is personalized for them.
Yeah, a big thing in a lot of brands. I mean, how do we take people through the like customer journey process? So landing them on a quiz finder of like shade finder or kind of product finder and kind of like nurturing that journey. I know BRYAN, they do a lot with also like landing pages. So it's kind of like, how do we get a great experience and then get them either right to the product they want or to help them in that customer journey?
Yeah, and all these things are definitely, it's funny, there's a level of testing that we're doing on a macro level. So even this format is a little bit different than the mobile gaming format, because in the mobile gaming format, that end card is actually typically a playable mini game that gives the user a preview of what the actual game could be like. So we kind of repurpose that into this end card, which is highly customizable. It could be as simple as throwing your static in, or it could be as complicated as you could make it a small playable game if you wanted to. And so we're still really at a point of our product where we're experimenting a lot with the product and the ad format itself. I mean, Scott, I think we were talking to Will last week, and he opened up the campaign and he was like, what are all these other campaigns and things? We're like, we've just been going crazy in your account, testing all sorts of different things, testing banner, testing different variations of the different 3 parts of the ad, because we're just still so early in all of this that we're trying to figure out what is going to drive lift across all of the advertisers on our platform. But to that point, at the advertisers level, there's still a lot of testing that can be done with video and cards and landing pages as well.
Yeah, I think that's what's huge and has been so exciting working with you guys is like from early on, like we said, we launched a traffic campaign and then it was like, okay, what's next? And it was like, hey, we actually run these cost per purchase campaigns. And then it was a manual bid campaign. And then Tony and Bo, they were like, hey, we actually have these ROAS campaigns. You guys got to try these. These are what our app customers love. These are the ones that do best for them. So we're like, okay, let's test a new one. And then probably like a lot of people have been hearing, there's like some issues. People aren't trusting incrementality. There's a lot of geo lift and geo holdouts. And that was a big thing that we were kind of also starting to look at and using triple whale data, measuring new visit percentage, new customer percentage, and looking at all those different metrics. And then I think Cathy and the AppLovin team, they all heard this feedback like, hey, we're really focused on new customers. Like new customers is what e-commerce businesses all really care about. And then like within, I'd say like a month or so, like, hey, we actually have a beta for new customer optimized campaigns. Like, do you guys want to test this? We're like, yes, this is what we've all been like asking for. And like the fact that you're able to kind of work through and kind of have these solutions for us that quick, I think is what is just very, I think, exciting about and innovative about the company and the journey.
Yeah, if you're an advertising nerd, like you're just having so much fun with the platform because it's like you have a magic hat pulling out what we can just do better as advertisers and to sell more product.
Yeah, I think the engineering team is pretty amazing. And a lot of people compare us to Meta and say, I have this on Meta, I have that on Meta, I want this and that and the other thing, whether it's UI, whether it's different kinds of campaigns. And I think people need to understand the context that we just launched this product with Scott in September. So it's been around 9 months of it even existing. And the fact that we've actually rolled out all of these additional parts of the product in terms of these new campaign types, in terms of new ad experiences, I think we're all already very proud of that, but also excited for what we can accomplish over the course of the next couple months and years. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. I think that we've gone through a couple really important topics here. I'm incredibly excited myself at what's been accomplished to date, and I think we're still just scratching the surface. I mean, this mobile gaming audience combined with the machine learning technology that we have, it's a really captive audience that is 150 million daily active users in the United States. So if you think about that, that's actually on par with, if not larger than most of the social platforms that are out there. So it is just incredibly untapped from the perspective of e-commerce advertisers. And we've been super excited to see this technology be able to create sales across all different kinds of industries. I mean, at first, when Scott started being successful, we thought this was going to be a platform to sell cosmetics. And then we said, oh, okay, so people are also selling pajamas and T-shirts and jeans and products for men, which we weren't sure of at the beginning either. We get all these questions. We said, we don't know. Why don't you test it and see if we can sell your product? And now it's like, dog food subscriptions, meal kits, health supplements, $2,000 memory foam mattresses. We are moving all of these items and putting them in front of all these consumers that have been shown to really be excited to engage with these very uniquely immersive ads, and also willing to make a purchase after watching one of these ads in a very short period of time. So about 80% of all the purchases on our platform actually occur within the first hour after the ad click. So we think that's a great indicator of the incrementality of these ads. And what's really exciting, as we've kind of discussed on this panel, is that this is still an emerging technology. And so if you guys are interested and you qualify for our closed beta, the current threshold is 10 million in annual GMV in the United States. I believe that the advertisers who lean in with us now and take the time to figure out how to make the platform work for them will really be the ones that are first to market here and that are going to reap the rewards of all the hard work that our engineers are doing to improve the model and the product over the coming months and years.
And don't miss out. Don't have your CEO tell you a week before Black Friday, hey,
Yeah, get on there now.
We need to be on it now.
Yeah, exactly. Give yourself a little more time than that.
I mean, we had the best Black Friday to date that the brand had ever had, and that was with significant spend on AppLovin. So definitely, if we had gotten on the platform earlier, then we probably would have spent significantly more if we were on earlier. I probably would have spent $1 million on Black Friday.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I think it's time to open it up to a couple questions if anyone has some about the product.
All right, just testing. Gaming CPCs typically are much higher just given app installs and the value of app installs. So what works in terms of e-commerce to be able to compete at that higher level where app installs aren't pushing out what may be an e-commerce brand? Does that make sense?
I'm sorry. So you started with saying gaming CPCs are higher than in the e-commerce space?
Basically, what works within e-commerce, right? It seems like the CPM should be significantly higher for AppLovin overall versus some other platforms. And so what ends up being a performant campaign across e-commerce that works within that environment? The CTR just makes up for that higher pricing.
Yeah, so the CTR, so there's a couple different parts of your question I'll try to explain. So in terms of CPMs on the platform, they tend to be, from what we've seen with other advertisers, around the same as what you'd see on Meta. It's not meaningfully lower. It's some people originally, when they started talking to us, expected in-app ads to have a lower CPM, but I think given the nature of the format, the CPMs are, I've seen mostly in the $15 to $30 range, which I think is on par with mostly with what folks see on Meta. Though an impression.
It's comparable to Meta. That's what we're seeing. Similar, but I think what she's going to get to is the CTR being 3 times what we see on Meta also.
Yeah, I think the CTR, so on the gaming side, the ads, when you click on them, they actually bring up the App Store, where then you have to make another click to install the ads. So the CTRs on the gaming side tend to be quite a bit higher. With gaming or with e-commerce, we've been very careful, as we know that e-commerce brands, they don't want a high bounce rate on their site. They want to bring only high intent users into their site. And so across the board, our CTR for e-commerce is around 2.5%. And so, yeah, maybe for some brands, it's a bit different than what they see on Meta, but on average, I think it's in that 2.5 to 4% range.
I mean, to help break it down also, we're getting 3 times as much traffic for it. So then our conversion rate can also be 3 times the delta also. And so if it's a little bit better, then it incrementally is beating our Meta performance.
Yeah, and then to your question on this idea of e-commerce crowding gaming, or if obviously this 10 billion of spend was already happening on the gaming side, how could there be so much more growth on e-commerce? Does that put pressure on the gaming side of our business? And I think the reality is that in digital marketing, you serve a lot of impressions and not all of them result in purchases. You have some very small portion of the people that you serve impressions to that actually results in conversions, whether it's in installing an app or making a purchase. And so for us, we think that there's plenty of impressions out there that we can make a better prediction on to serve the right ad at the right time. And therefore, it's much more around becoming more precise and increasing the conversion rate rather than increasing the number of impressions overall, if that makes sense. I guess to give you some further context on that, we have grown our revenues about 15x in the last 5 years, whereas that's not been the case for the overall gaming industry or the number of impressions available in the gaming industry. So it's really more about precision. Any other questions?
You quickly mentioned gamified or interactive end cards. I'm curious, any creative ways e-commerce brands have gone about doing that, and if they've seen any success with that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I will be very transparent with you. We have done a couple tests on these, and I don't think they've been as successful as you'd imagine. I think a lot of advertisers like this idea of putting native ads that look very much like the content around them. But the people that are watching these ads, they're kind of the gamified mini games that were in the gaming ads, they're really showing you what the game is going to be if you then go and install it. But for me to do a crossword puzzle about t-shirts, I don't know if it really makes me want to buy the t-shirts more. It's more about, the one sold every 5 seconds. That's a much more compelling message to me than I need to solve, find the word t-shirt in a mini game.
Yeah, we tested it early on with the Wordscapes game and had it say Laura Geller and have that puzzle. But I think then that confuses people because it's like they're used to playing the game, which is then going to take them to a new type of game that is kind of like what they're playing, but we're then taking them to the website. So it's a little disjointed. I think, again, it's still early on. I think there's a lot that we could do with playing with these end cards to gamify it a little bit. We've talked about on our landing page, gamifying the landing page to have it almost like Wheelio, if you've seen those, or like a slot machine. So that's the gamify action that we use because we know these people like this kind of like risk-reward game mentality.
Yeah, but at a high level, I do think there's a lot of really interesting things we can experiment with in terms of our ad templates. And even in a short period of time, the DPA is pretty new. I don't even think most advertisers had it in Q4. We built it for one of our larger advertisers who had millions of SKUs, and then we rolled it out to the rest of the advertisers. So I'm pretty sure that over the course of the next few quarters, we will continue to make big improvements on the ad template. Yep.
Hi. Have you seen any indicators or data points that may show that AppLovin is really helping you drive more reach against the audiences that are already in market that Meta has just not been able to serve to you? Or do you feel, or is there anything showing that AppLovin may be driving more awareness of people who are not in market yet and moving them further down the funnel?
Yeah, I think it's a hard question to answer to know for certain, but we do have a large number of advertisers for whom we now drive 20, 30, 40% of their businesses. So to me, that suggests that we've been able to greatly expand the size of their business and reach outside of someone that they were already reaching on Meta. But I'd love for you guys to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, our business is custom products, so typically we don't have a lot of LTV. It's a lot of new customer acquisition. And using Triple Whale, we can also see all those users were new customers, new users to the website. So Meta had not yet found them, may never find them. Those users may not even use social media. So I think that's something important to remember, that not every single person is on Meta or an Instagram, and there are users that exist outside of social media that do want to buy your product and will spend a lot of money on your product. So I think that's one thing that makes AppLovin unique there. There is a world that we now get to touch with e-com that isn't just social media.
Yeah, and I'll add same exact thing, and we grade the homework, if you will, of AppLovin through the first click attribution on Triple Whale. But separately from that is, look, we use broad targeting on Meta. That said, the primary customer that we acquire on Meta is men. However, through AppLovin, it was like 80% of our customer base was women. So we brought in an immense amount of incremental customers that we were not getting in front of on Meta. Whether or not they were on Meta is maybe a different question. However, Meta certainly wasn't delivering to that group. And so AppLovin was able to do so efficiently and drive new customer visitation that also drove a first click purchase as well.
Yeah, I think early on, before Triple Whale and their integration, we were able to just see, you know what, we spent an extra 50,000 and we saw sales go up. So it's kind of this like, let's just do back napkin math and kind of like, okay, it looks incremental. But then when we started working with the Triple Whale team and looking at the integration, I think, again, we use a first click ROAS number we're watching. We also do like NC ROAS. And then a big thing is also like looking at, I mentioned before, the new visit percentage to make sure this is actually a new visit. This is a person that has not been to our site before. There's not someone that's been to us from a Meta ad and it's just retargeting Meta people. So that's where because we've tested, similarly, we run strict exclusions on Meta and we're watching what is that new visitor percentage, what is that new customer percentage, and we're trying to hold AppLovin to it also and be like, if that's also making sure we're driving new people. I think this is where Brian and I were joking. It's like we've tried growth hacking it and having a bunch of different campaigns, and we kind of like we're fiddling with stuff. We saw those metrics go down, and we're like, wait a second, no, this isn't driving incremental. We need to get the new visitor percentages up. We need them to be higher to make sure that we are actually driving incremental new visits to validate that is bringing new people to our website.
And you can validate it too. Like every brand is different, so I would suggest that once you get started and you start testing, one, either ask Moby and just be like, hey, what's the overlap between these two channels by UTM source? Or in the pixel dashboard, when you're using the triple attribution setting, you can actually see the overlap. And for us, the overlap is approximately like 40% out of all other channels, meaning 60% of the conversions, there is no additional touch point, whether that's an email or an SMS or direct. And out of that 40%, I think it's like 20 or 30 is Meta. So you're talking about an overlap of the total, and then a subset of that total overlap is what's driven from Meta. So you can do that right now, right, and check it out for your brand if you are actively advertising on the platform.
Well, that's awesome. It's a commercial for us and Triple Whale in the same answer. So I think that's all the questions we have time for today. Really appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate you guys sharing your perspectives. It's been awesome to hear. And yeah, if you guys are interested in the platform and qualify for the beta, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.